Thanks to education, we have evidence throughout history something new as traditional assessment. As its name indicates, it is a type of measurement that has been developed by different authors who have taken this quantitative learning assessment system. But first, it is important to say that assessment is one of the most important components of education. And there are certain educators who consider traditional assessment to be more effective, others consider alternative assessment to be a superior and involved way of grading. The research group considers the importance of explaining first what are the characteristics of traditional assessment. During the document, we will show questions related to assessment topics for students and for teachers in a real context in Colombia, showing to the spectators a close relation with the reality and theory about traditional and alternative assessment. And the traditional assessment is one that is commonly applied in schools and has an specific standards to put those being assessed in the same condition.
Assessment, the this way to evaluate the students, people in every environment. I think that was uh, qualified, but sometimes the people don't feel comfortable at the moment when they are be doing the projects or they are doing the work or something like that. I think that was um, this method that was works in this time, but right now I think the alternative assessments that will be take
It is possible to choose one answer and just one is correct. There is no place to justify the answer or opportunity. The most common example is the typical exam, with multiple choice questions without feedback. The exam just presents a score.
So what I think about the traditional assessment, actually, I think that they categorize like the students as a number. They don't let them like express their skills or different abilities. It's just like a couple of questions. Yeah, that's what I think about the traditional assessment.
And about English language, the most common language that schools, the main focus is on the language structure of lexis alone, in isolation, besides often being discontextualized. Traditional tests also tend to overlook the assessment of authentical interaction, individual skills, and knowledge areas that we resort to when interacting, such as listening skills and grammatical and lexical knowledge, may be addressed, but without natural integration that resemble real life use. But what are the advantages of this assessment method? Multiple choice tests are commonly utilized by teachers, schools, and assessment organizations for the following reasons.
The purpose of traditional evaluation or assessment is to give an average about the knowledge that the students acquire. Also helps the teacher to give a feedback in the topics that he needs to reinforce.
They are fast, easy, and economical to score. In fact, they are machine scorable. The second one is they can be scored objectively and thus may give the test appearance of being fairer and or more reliable than subjectively scored tests. The next one is they look like tests and may those seems to be acceptable by convention. And the last one with my partners considers that they reduce the change of learners guessing the correct items in comparison to true false items.
So as a positive factor for the traditional assessment, I think that they gave us like a quick response because It's just evaluate something really quick, so you have a quick response, like, and a quick answer about the student's score. Different from the alternative that you need to evaluate different topics, I guess. So, yeah, that's what I think that is positive. The only thing that I think is positive about the traditional system.
Okay, for the traditional, you have established a goal and you must be completed. You was prepared for to from the beginning. You have all this knowledge, all this process that be complete at the end. And I think that will be sometimes for the traditional, they establish like a limit, and you have the regular uh, establish or rules that you be completing that.
And in the research, we consider that there is a need for education in general to think about the effectiveness of the traditional assessment in teaching contexts that claims more communication for language learning. Is it useful to evaluate knowledge applicable in the learning context? In a summative approach to assessment, results are not used to inform further learning, and teachers don't have the chance to personalize lessons that better address learning's specific needs. If traditional assessment tends to give more weight to reliability, which might negatively impact validity, alternative assessment shifts the focus by emphasizing true validity in the assessment tools. An alternative framework might provide us with opportunity to analyze learners' progress in real language use more authentically. The hope for more effectiveness in assessment could be the purpose of alternative assessment created by the other targets, not focus on the quantitative result, more focus on the qualitative attachment. Lewis Carroll make a very agreed analogy of the alternative assessment. He said, it is an umbrella term which shelters alternatives to standardized multiple choice testing. The idea of this evaluation is to test the integral part of the teaching and learning process, directed in performance. The emphasis is on a close similarity between the type of performance that's actually observed and the type of the performance that is of interest. Using Simonson theory, there are three useful approaches in alternative assessment. The first one, authentical assessment. The second one is performance assessment. And the last one is portfolio assessment. Researchers and educators use performance-based alternative and authentical assessment as a term with the same reference. It means that are different terms but the same meaning. With the main goal as effectiveness of performance assessment, there are more general points to follow. One of these lists is selective assessments tasks that are clearly aligned or connected to what has been taught. Other one is sharing the scoring criteria for the assessment task with students prior to working on the task. The next one is providing students with clear statements of standards and or several models of acceptable performance before they attempt a task. The next one is encouraging students to complete self-assessment of their performance. On the last of this list is interpreting students' performance by comparing them some standards that are developmentally appropriate, as well as the other students' performance.
I think it's more effective the traditional assessment for kids because
Statements
when
of
they
standards
lost a
and or
test
several models
give
of
they can
acceptable
get a
performance
feedback.
before the attempt a
Of
task.
course, when the feedback is not
The
going
next
to
one
be
is
a score,
encouraging
but
students to
yeah, for
complete
example, a happy face
self-assessment
or a
of
sad
their
face.
performance.
Also,
On the
it
last of this list
helps
is
them to
integrating students'
understand that
performance by
they need
comparing
to
them to
improve,
some
they need to
standards
do
that
it
are
well,
developingly
they need to
appropriate,
time
as well as the
themselves
other
for
students'
the things
performance.
that they need to do.
I think that the traditional assessment is not as effective as the alternative one, because alternative you can do it in a different ways. You have like different manners of do it. Is that the traditional is just like with a paper or something like that, and the alternative the students can express and demonstrate their skills as I mentioned before. Also, it's more interactive for them, so it's better that the alternative.
Assessments, I think that was more inspiring. That you can be who you are. You can be. You don't have limit. You can show uh, your talents by the drawing. You when speaking, when you use your environment. So I think there is no limits to show that information.
So the positive factors about the alternative assessment, I think that it gave us like a different answer, not just one, as I said before. They gave us like a different answer for the different skills that the students have. So, for example, you know that we're thing to do a lot of different things. So I cannot compare myself with another one. And that's what alternative assessment do. Show different skills, give them all the same like score. So all matters.
Alternative assessment strategies includes open-ended questions, exhibits, demonstrations, hands-on executions of experiments, computer simulations, and portfolios. The two kinds of assessment are useful and important for education. One do not replace the other, are simply different ways of evaluation applicable on education. And during the whole history, those are essentials for institutions, even for everyone. At least just one time has been evaluated with this method. As a teachers and students, we need to adapt these tools according to the environment and educational needs to obtain the main goal, learning. That it's all for today, people. Remember, this method in the future may evolve, but all depends on the use of it. See you later.